What's going on? Again, we can debate. It's not entirely clear, but we know what we observe. We know what we observe from the experiments. So one of the experiments was about poetry.
Poetry.
So it's hard to know whether poetry is
that valuable or not.
It depends on who's reading it. It depends on the poem. But, in this experiment, it was a professor doing this in the classroom, Ariely in this case, and he'd read a short, snippet of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, first few lines, and then ask students, depending on which group they were in the experiment, some questions about whether or not they would like to come to a reading that evening of 10 minutes of this poetry. So for the first group of subjects, he asked them, would you come to this reading if you had to pay $2? Okay, and a certain amount, in fact, I'm going to look at my notes here, basically 59% of subjects,
so they'd pay $2. Wow.
Said, yes, I'd attend your poetry reading if I just want to make sure that I have this right in terms of whether they're paying or not. No. So in the case of paying $2, only 3%.
It's a small number. Nobody wants to pay to listen to poetry.
No one wants to pay. I mean, I love Ariely, but
so small numbers. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Then what? Then what's the opposite?
Right after that, they asked, for those groups that they said, would you pay? Right after that, they said, well, what if it was free? Would you come? Well, now 35% said that they'd like to come to the recital.
So more people, but not. And then what's the opposite case?
See, the opposite case is that I pay you.
Got it. So then it's Ariely saying, listen, if I paid you a little bit of money, would you come listen? And
that's
then
right.
What happened then?
Well, then a lot of people would like to show up.
Sure, I'll listen to your bad poetry for
exactly.
$2.
Right.
Then what do you ask?
Then you ask the same free question. What if I didn't pay you? What if it's free?
Then what?
Would you attend? Well, all of a sudden no one wants to attend any longer.
Nobody wants to. It's the opposite case.
Right.
When you had to pay for something and then it was free, then you're like, yeah, I'll take it. When, in other words, they were going to pay you and then it's free. It's like, the hell with that. I'm no longer getting my money. And that's the Tom Sawyer effect.
Right. So what these questions did were, decide in the subject's mind whether poetry was a good thing that I should pay to see or a bad thing. And that affected all their subsequent decisions.
Interesting. So it's entirely a matter of framing how you convey something being valuable or not.
Right. And being very careful for that first time to make sure that people see value in that in the way that is framed, because from thereafter it will be coherent. People will make
because they're going to be consistent with their original
Once I decide
decision.
poetry is
even
great,
though it's arbitrary in the first place, but beyond that initial decision. Interesting.
That's right.
Well, Justin, we're almost running out of time here on the show. I do want to have some time for you to articulate a little bit about what you're excited about and where you think you're going to take your own research agenda.
Sure. Well, I'm at the very earliest of stages of my own research agenda.
Okay, that's good.
I'm kind of making the transition from commentator and fan to actually getting to participate in constructing some of this research. So that's truly exciting. Now, one of the projects at the very early stages is on curiosity.
Really? Curiosity. Like people saying, what's going on? That kind of curious Yost.
Yeah. Well, and, specifically, whether or not we're more curious depending on if it's going to be good information that we think we'll find out versus bad information.
Got it.
So, and then following on to that, whether or not we'll exhibit more self-control, like not pay as large a fee or not, do some action that cost us something when it's negative information.
Got it.
So, and this is a good case for experiments because, my intuition might have actually been wrong. We've got a small number of subjects that have answered these questions with Leonard Lee at Columbia.
Sure. You just described who Leonard is.
So Leonard Lee, he did his PhD in marketing not too far from here at MIT, including the famous beer experiments at the Muddy Charles Pub.
Indeed, and the Thirsty Ear.
And so he's been someone that I've stayed in touch with over the years and been a great advisor. And now we're just at the very earliest stages of this pilot.
So this sounds like just one example of what will be a growing suite of research questions that you'll be tackling.
I certainly hope so. It's powerful interest for me.
Good stuff. Well, maybe any closing words of comment about how this stuff is useful to the everyday entrepreneurs out there?
Well, probably not enough time to get into too much detail, but when you're starting your business, when you're thinking of marketing products, when you're looking at innovation and commercialization, these things come into play. Whether it's an anchoring effect or
it's looking at
framing effects, which we haven't talked about yet,
or thinking about how to develop and design products. It's all important stuff to pay attention to. So this academic stuff is actually going to be relevant. Justin.
Joost.
Delighted, as always, to have a conversation with you, catch up on things, and very exciting indeed to see you launch on this research agenda. Everybody, this has been HighTechFever.tv. I'm your host, Joost Bonsen. My guest, Justin Cook, scholar. Everybody, till next time, stay on.